Talk right now with Senator James Lankford, Republican of Oklahoma. He's the primary Republican negotiator for the Senate border deal, which we should note was just endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, which is a fairly conservative organization. Senator, I'm going to ask you about some specifics in the bill in just a moment. But first, the bill does appear to be losing some support within the Senate. We hear multiple GOP senators publicly opposed. It needs 60 votes to advance to the House. Do you think you can get 60 votes? Will it make it out of the Senate?
We will know more this evening, actually, when all of us get together. Obviously, the bill text came out yesterday. People have had time to be able to look at it. As you mentioned, some people are already making their statements about their opposition. Other folks are saying their support. But when we get together tonight, we'll have an opportunity to be able to talk about it and see next steps on it before procedural vote on Wednesday.
I want to give you a chance to go on the record, perhaps correct the record on some of the claims made by opponents of the bill. A new statement from House GOP leadership today says, quote, "The bill expands work authorizations for illegal aliens while failing to include critical asylum reforms. Even worse, its language allowing illegals to be released from physical custody would effectively endorse the Biden catch and release policy," unquote. Is that true?
Actually, none of that is actually true on it. Let me walk you through a couple of things with that. The first thing is the most basic element is this is ending catch and release. It dramatically increases the ability for detention. It has a way to be able to monitor and to be able to track those individuals. If we can't actually have enough space to be able to actually hold them, it still leaves open the possibility of using Remain in Mexico, which this administration has used a little. Obviously, the Trump administration used a lot. So all those things are actually protected. But if you have a large number of people cross and you don't have capacity, you're going to have to be able to figure out what to be able to do with those individuals. So we do track that. As far as the work permits, actually, it's the opposite of that. Today, there were 1,500 work permits that were given out by the Biden administration at ports of entry because migrants signed up in advance on it. So they got just work permits. They don't qualify for asylum, didn't even ask for asylum. They just got work permits on it. That ends that process. And also current law is if you cross the border and just apply for asylum, you also get a work permit. We also end that practice, and it actually moves it to you got to actually go through the higher standards to request asylum, meet those standards, and then once you meet those standards, then you would get a work permit. So as odd as it sounds, the accusation of creating work permits, we are literally the opposite, taking work permits away.
Here's a claim being circulated on Twitter or X by Elon Musk, who posted, quote, "The long-term goal of the so-called border security bill is enabling illegals to vote. It will do the total opposite of securing the border," unquote. Now, I know that Elon Musk is not an expert on illegal immigration or the border, but he has a huge megaphone.
He does.
Explain what he's talking about here. Is he wrong?
Well, I think he needs to go back to doing the 2 million Teslas that are currently being recalled right now to be able to focus in on that. No, it's not focused on trying to be able to get more illegals to vote. That's absurd in the process on it. It is against the law for anyone that is not a citizen of the United States to be able to vote in the United States in any federal election. That remains so. Obviously, we're not dealing with that. I've heard some people say, hey, you're not taking on illegal voting, and so I'm going to oppose this bill. By the way, neither did H.R. 2 that came out of the House that so many people have said was the perfect border security bill. It also did not deal with any issues of voting because that bill was seen as a border security bill, not a voting issue bill.
Republican Speaker Mike Johnson last night posted, quote, "As the lead Democrat negotiator proclaimed, under this legislation, the border never closes." Johnson goes on to say if this bill reaches the House, it will be dead on arrival. The Speaker essentially took one quick look at the bill and immediately dismissed the legislation out of hand. What's your response to how Speaker Johnson has handled this all?
Obviously, he's trying to be able to deal with a raucous caucus, and he's going to continue to be able to work to be the Speaker of the House and to continue to be able to find consensus among leaders. The House leadership immediately came out and said, hey, they oppose this. I've had quite a few House members that have reached out to me directly and said, hey, I'm reading it, and there's actually a lot of very helpful things here. This is an area that some people just have a difference of opinion. Some people say if we can't do everything, we should do nothing. And there are others that say if we can make some progress in key areas, as you played the tape on earlier of the Speaker in the hallway saying the key things that Border Patrol and other folks are telling us they need a change in asylum, need a change in parole, and they need to catch and release. That's actually the exact target of this bill itself. We change the asylum process, make it much more difficult, which turns around people faster. We focus in on the parole issues that are being abused right now, close down those lanes of abuse on the border, and then we deal with the catch and release. That is why the National Border Patrol Union came out today and endorsed it and said why this bill is not perfect and we need more. It does make real progress, and they see this as a way to dramatically slow down the numbers that are coming across the border, because once you start actually deporting people, the flood stops at that point. People aren't going to pay $10,000 to a cartel to just get deported, and that's what would happen under this bill. We would detain and deport in a much faster process.
Obviously, your fellow Republican Mitt Romney has been pretty outspoken, saying that the reason the bill is having difficulties right now is because Donald Trump wants it as a campaign issue, so he doesn't want any attempts to solve it to be successful. And in fact, President Trump, former President Trump, today is slamming your work, specifically your work on the bill. Take a listen.
Just to correct the record, I did not endorse Senator Lankford. He ran, and I didn't endorse him. This is a very bad bill for his career. I don't know how a Republican senator can actually put a thing like this forth.
So just to correct the record, Donald Trump did endorse you.
He did.
But regardless of that, why do you think he's going after you and this border bill, considering this is the most, and I've been in this town for a lot longer than you have, this is the most conservative immigration compromise that I have ever seen come to this level. Previous efforts under Bush and under Obama were far more permissive, far more liberal than this. Why do you think Trump's going after you?
Yeah, I don't know, obviously, other than he has a different job than I have right now. His job right now is running for president, and so he's trying to be able to manage that, and obviously a chaotic border is helpful to him in the process on that. If Donald Trump was president right now, let me be very clear, we would not have the chaotic border that we have right now. Joe Biden is not enforcing the border, even not just like Donald Trump, not like Barack Obama. We have 6 times more people crossing the border now than we had under Barack Obama. So this president's clearly not enforcing the border. But for Donald Trump, he's focused on the campaign. I'm the lead Republican on the Homeland Security Border Management Committee, and so my focus is the national security focus. I'm going to do whatever I can to be able to secure the nation as fast as I can, regardless of election cycles. This is something Americans are looking for and have asked for a very long time. We have got to be able to secure the border. Yes, it's going to have to be bipartisan. It's the United States Senate. It always has to be bipartisan. So let's work together to be able to figure out where we can find common ground and actually solve an issue. We'll solve as much as we can, then start working on the next level.
So again, I've covered this for a long, long time, this debate. In 2013, there was a much more liberal version of this compromise floated in the Senate. The Gang of 8 was the 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. 2 of those Republicans are still in the Senate. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Marco Rubio of Florida, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John Hoeven voted for it. I understand that Senator Rubio has come out opposed to this deal, which is, as I said, more conservative than what he was pushing. Have you talked to Rubio or Senator Graham?
I've talked to Senator Graham recently. Obviously, he's been out publicly supportive of this deal, trying to do whatever he can to be able to help this move along, knowing it's trying to get us a good progress on that. Senator Rubio and I haven't spoken recently on that, but everybody has their different opinions on this. Everybody's got to be able to look at the text of the bill and determine what works, what doesn't work on it. We didn't get everything in the process on it. Obviously, there's a lot more that I'd like to be able to get. But again, I go back to the most basic thing. We're getting as much as we possibly can, and we're going to try to be able to move forward, because we've got to stop having the thousands of people that are crossing the border every day unchecked.
Republican Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you. Thanks.